Hello and welcome back to Jules Math Tools, where math is made easy. In our session today, this is part 9 on solving our fraction questions involving PEMDAS. And in this method, we're using a second method on how we can solve the question that we did in part 8. And if you already see how we're going to do this, let's get started. So in our session today, this is a second method to solving our question that we solved in part 8. And in this question, I'm showing you how it's so beneficial to know all of your skills when it comes to applying your order of operation or even your fraction skills when it involves division and multiplication. Now, when it comes to division and multiplication, the one good thing we know is that division always changes to multiplication. And because I know that rule, I can now, instead of working out my division first, I can now just go ahead and multiply my entire question together. So the first thing I'm going to need to do before I do that is still apply my keep, change, and flip rule. So in this question, that means I'm going to keep my first fraction the same. We're now changing our division to multiplication, and we're going to flip or take the reciprocal of our second fraction. And then I will also return my 1/3 back to my question as well. So now that everything is in the form of multiplication, instead of now applying my division rule where I work on my division and then get my quotient and then multiply it to my 1/3, I'm just going to multiply everything else together. Now at this point, I'm also going to apply another rule that I encourage you to practice, which is simplifying my fractions. So in simplifying my fractions, I'm now going to cut my work down even further. So let's begin simplifying our fractions. I'm going to simplify my 3 and 3. Now I have to pause for a minute. Remember that whenever you are simplifying or reducing a fraction, remember that step has to happen between a numerator and a denominator. So we by no means simplify two numerators or two denominators. It has to be between a number at the top of your fraction, which is your numerator, and a number at the bottom of the fraction, which is your denominator. And it has to happen with a number that can divide into both of the numbers without leaving a remainder. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to divide my 3 into 3. So I will divide 3 by 3, which will equal to 1. And I will also divide my 3 in my numerator by 3, which will cancel and leave as 1. Next, I'm going to divide my 2 into my 8. So I will divide 2 by 2. So 2 divided by 2 will equal to 1. And 8 when divided by 2 will equal to 4. So I also want you to take note that in each of my division steps, both of the numbers that I divided by was divided by the exact same number. I did not use one number to divide into one number and then a different number to divide into the other number. Both of the numbers were divided by the exact same number. So now for my next step, what I'm going to do before I even finish my multiplication is I will write back each of the fractions that we have so that we can see the numbers that we're now working with and then multiply our final step. Now remember, if you are somebody who is strong in your canceling or reducing of your fractions, this step you may not necessarily need to write, but I encourage you to still write it so that you can get a clear view once you are done simplifying of the numbers that are remaining and what numbers you are still working with. So in my first fraction, I see that I still have a 4 and my 9 in my denominator. In my second fraction, I have a 1 and a 1 in my denominator. And in my final fraction, I still have my 1 in my numerator and my 3 in the denominator reduced to a 1. So now I have 4 being multiplied to 1s, which will equal to 4, and 9 being multiplied to 1s, which will equal to 9. So our solution for our fraction using PEMDAS is 4/9. Now remember, as I stated earlier, it's important for you to practice and develop these skills because it helps with being able to cut down tremendously on some of the work that we do when we are working through questions like this. But as always, remember to get some additional practice in, and I'll see you right here in the next session on Jules Math Tools, where the aim is always to make math easy.